Basketball.
It's time to strap in and get ready. The Insight NBA team is in the arena, bringing you the ultimate play-by-play on who's hot and who's not to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now hooping with your hosts, Matty G, Skitty, and Mally for the Insight NBA show.
G'day everyone and welcome to the Insight NBA show. It's a live show. Kingy, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. Just snuck in the door before go time. So, yeah, excited to talk about a trade that probably doesn't mean a whole lot, but we have no other trades to talk about.
This is the exciting thing about a trade. We get all jazzed for it because something's happening in basketball world that's out of the ordinary a little bit. But I guess let's start with this one. It is the best, worst kept, not secret in the NBA that the Los Angeles Lakers wanted to move on from D'Angelo Russell as soon as they could. And it's finally happened.
It has. It wasn't. Well, I mean, there were rumors of Finney Smith going to Memphis last night and then to wake up to find out that he's gone to the Lakers. A bit of a surprise, but no real surprise that D'Angelo Russell is on the move. I don't know whether he's happy about it. He's probably happy that he'll get to do more stuff, but that's about it.
Is he just happy that he's not going to have the words like, "Oh, you're going to be traded. LeBron hates you" in his ear, and his like? I think that lingering feeling that you're going to be traded from LeBron James or the Lakers has been there for quite a while. The big thing for this is he will be better in Brooklyn. He is a winner of this trade because obviously we have to separate winners and losers. And because we're not going to do a huge one. Oh, you've got your 4-1 there. I've got my 4-1.
Sneaky promo there, but I'm having a coffee. Controversial choice at 4:30 in the afternoon.
No, not for me because I've driven in just like fresh in today coming in from country like New South Wales and Victoria. So this is a red wine and a rosé, and I deserve it. He's better in Brooklyn. How much better is he in Brooklyn? Is the question.
Well, I think it depends if you're comparing to what he's done this year or what we've seen from him in the past. If we're comparing it to what he's done this year. Probably quite a bit better because he's been terrible this year.
Yep.
I think we had some questions on my pregame show this morning about comparing this to the previous version of Brooklyn D'Angelo Russell in 2018-19. And I sort of thought, I don't think he'll be that good. And he was top, I think he was roughly 65th in that year. I think that's probably his ceiling.
Yeah. I'll look it up. What year was it? It was 2018,
2019, something.
That's what I thought.
Something like that. So very different looking team now, obviously.
Yep.
Part of this will be dependent on whether Cam Johnson is traded. There have been rumors that he could be on the way out, and a lot of teams would love to get Cam Johnson on their roster. So
he finished 55th that year, by the way, just 55th last year and 55th in that year. But going Cam Johnson, you bring up an interesting name here. He was a name that I was hearing the Lakers were targeting quite heavily. And funnily enough, D'Angelo Russell last year was the 65th player, and I see him somewhat retaining between that value and 80-ish, possibly as a peak bubble. But this was interesting because Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton, who we know are on the trade block as well, these were two names that I was hearing the Lakers were targeting initially. Then that rumor came out that Pelinka wanted to do, fringe players. And then this is obviously where Shake Milton and, Dorian Finney-Smith fit in. Cam Johnson, this opens up a massive runway for D'Angelo Russell as well.
Yeah, it does, depending on who comes back, obviously. But the Nets aren't really looking to acquire pieces as such. They'd be more interested in trade picks or very young prospects. So, I think part of D'Angelo's value will be dependent on what does their roster look like in 36 days or whenever the trade deadline is upon us. But based on the team right now, I sort of said, well, think about what Dennis Schroeder was doing before he was moved and then add a little bit because I think he's a bit better than Dennis Schroeder. Maybe not defensively, but offensively, I think so. So, yeah, I think I'm with you, sort of top 80 range, but definitely someone I think that needs to be rostered now, as opposed to 24 hours ago when he was probably a drop in a lot of leagues.
He was, and this is the thing. There was this was also the interesting thing. You mentioned the Memphis Grizzlies potentially trading for DFS. The offer from them was possibly better. But now with the plethora, there's the word of the day, plethora of second round picks the Lakers have thrown at the situation, they've got 31 draft picks in their future.
Yeah,
they've basically got enough to create 2.3 rosters. Biggest one here, though, break it down this way. I've got winners as this. I've got D'Angelo Russell, because everyone wants, again, these we have to have a winner, we have to have a loser. Let's look at the 3 winners that I've pulled out from this situation. I've got D'Angelo Russell, I've got Noah Clowney, and this was someone who I advocated for in last week's must-add show, that it was an absolute get. That's become outside my wildest expectations now. And I've also got a cheeky Jalen Wilson in deeper leagues in the immediate future, because I was really curious today, Kingy, to see how it played out. And I know are you doing after this show, are you doing your after game show today?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see it. Let's do a bit of a teaser for that one. Cam Johnson back into the lineup straight away, 24 minutes, a close game against the Magic, 1-point loss. Cam Thomas, 24 minutes, coming back in, doing Cam Thomas things. But Jalen Wilson's 31 minutes. That was massive off the bench today. I think he's a cheeky winner in this situation as well.
Yeah, I think he will be, or he could be, depending on what the Nets do. And it might be that he's a winner in 2 out of every 3 games, and then the third game is a Tyrese Martin or a Keon Johnson. But overall, I think he makes sense as a bit of a winner. Just simply in terms of opportunity and minutes, he is. What he does with those minutes, still a little bit questionable. His game is sort of, from what we've seen, and it's pretty limited, but from what we've seen, he's more of a points guy. Doesn't
1 rebound, 1 assist, and 1 steal in 31 minutes today doesn't bode well for the peripheral stats.
No, it doesn't. And if you look at his per 36 stats, which, I mean, it's never an accurate reflection, but it's a gauge of what he might do in more minutes. He's at 12.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 0.7 steals. So points and threes. He's a good free throw shooter, and obviously just the more time you spend on the court, you're going to get better defensively. So maybe he can get up to a steal. So I think there's scope there for him to certainly step into a larger role.
Noah Clowney, absolutely huge. Again, look, today, 27 minutes, 13 points. This is the thing about him, which is the Noah Clowney experience. 3 from 5 from deep. He hit that ridiculous, was it against the Celtics last week? Whatever it was, that he caught a ball in the last 0.3 seconds of a possession, just caught it over and released with his range. And it looked like a Kevin Durant-esque 3. Like only certain people in the world can make it. The thing with Noah Clowney is the defensive stats haven't been as predominant or as present as we've liked them to see. Today in his 27 minutes, no assists, no steals, no blocks. But there is a pathway for him to get these, especially if Nick Claxton moves. He could probably get some more rim protection minutes there, which he was getting towards the end of last year in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I think he's obviously a winner here. It might be that he's more of a winner in 6 weeks, again, once the trade deadline has come and gone. I do think for the short term, he should be rostered, but people just need to probably just check themselves when they're looking at expectations. Like, he's not going to come out and temper their expectations. There we go. Because he's not going to come out. I mean, we've seen a pretty good sample size of what he looks like in a meaningful role through injuries. The last couple of weeks, he's played 28 minutes, 24, 31, 30, 29, 37. He's really just been a points and threes guy. He's yet to, as you said, really find his footing on the defensive end, but that will come.
And that's what everyone was speculating at the beginning of this year too. So Clowney was in, I guess, amongst analyst world, there was a lot of people like, oh, Clowney's going to be great. Clowney's going to be great. And that's true. But this was the situation where we kind of needed him to be, to present himself with right here. And I think maybe this moves him into top 120 value, whereas previously he wasn't really a rosterable player at all.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. So borderline must roster. If you're in a position to almost treat him like a stash, but a stash that is actually contributing. Probably the more interesting part of this trade, or not part of this trade necessarily, but if the Nets do move off Nick Claxton at some point, I think Day'Ron Sharpe, if we're looking at players down the stretch that could be top 50, top 60, I think Day'Ron Sharpe could be that guy. If he can start and play 30 minutes, he could be very, very handy.
If Claxton has moved off that Brooklyn board and they just go full Tankapalooza, then Day'Ron Sharpe really gets the run. And then you've got a team of like Day'Ron Sharpe, Cam Thomas, especially if Cam Johnson goes, D'Angelo Russell, and those two guys at the back. It's just all young. And again, Keon Johnson takes a hit here as well. The losers that we've pulled out straight away, because again, we need to, as people, as humans, as fantasy managers, we have to have these definitive lines of winners and losers. Immediate losers that we can see are Ben Simmons, Keon Johnson, and I put the wrong bloody one up there. I changed it as well. I've got Gabe Vincent up there, Cam Reddish, Rui Hachimura, and also, funnily enough, I've got Dorian Finney-Smith as a loser immediately, because for me, he was someone who was very much rosterable while he was in Brooklyn, and now he's fringy. He definitely moves into fringy world.
He does, yeah. They're not. He might start. It'll depend whether they decide to go with him over Rui Hachimura. I don't think they will. I think they should, but I don't think they will.
Yeah.
I think he's probably still just going to be one of those guys that you stream in for 3 games, in a favorable week, and then let go of him. The upside is still going to be very limited, assuming that the Lakers stay healthy, which, of course, with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, there's no guarantees of that. Look, in terms of those losers you've got there, I think that's pretty bang on. None of those guys, I mean, Ben Simmons is probably the one that we're looking at who is fantasy relevant. I would still hold him because I do think that he will still play minutes in the high 20s, and you're obviously not holding him for his scoring or anything like that. So he's still going to get rebounds. He'll still get assists and defensive stats. I actually think Max Christie is a small winner here as well.
I would agree. He's been also rosterable for I had him on the Must Add show last week. I'm with you. What? Someone else tell me, because people say, really, Christie? And I'm like, yeah, look at his minutes. Why are you also like a bit of a Christie advocate, one would say?
Yeah, I like his game, and I think have for a little while. And it seems that the Lakers have figured out that he is their best option as a starter. And playing him there alongside Austin Reeves at the 2 guard. He's just been good. The minutes are up. He is one of those
33 minutes in the last week, 30 minutes over the last 2. So they're there.
They're there. And he is one of those guys that if you're not an idiot like us and you watch it so much that you know all the players and all the rotations, you probably wouldn't know who Max Christie is necessarily, because obviously with the Lakers, AD and LeBron get all of the attention. D'Angelo Russell gets a lot of the attention, usually negative. So Christie just sort of flies along. But as you said, he's been playing high minutes. He's scored double digits in 3 straight games. He's had multiple steals in 4 of the last 5 games. So he doesn't do a lot. But if you just need some low volume, sort of a 12 to 13 point scorer with 2 to 3 threes and 1.2 steals, with no D'Angelo Russell there anymore, I just think this doesn't necessarily bump him up, but it solidifies his role. And I think
I agree.
If you were cautious or sort of 50-50 on, is this going to stick? Isn't it going to stick? I think it will now.
And the Lakers have 4 games as well coming into week 11 or week 10, depending on your platform. So he's a really nice ad. Like, he's made my ads list again for this upcoming schedule. I've liked Christie. I've had him on the Must Add show, and people are like, are you sure? Pop quiz: which of the Lakers looks like they more need to learn how to shave or need to have somebody with them in the car when they're driving? Christie or Connect? And it's Christie. He just looks so incredibly young. And he is like, he looks, but they're also putting him, which is a really interesting thing. You mentioned the steals. They're shifting Max Christie as a primary defender in a lot of situations. Like they're very willing. Like JJ Redick is really willing to throw Max Christie on the best player on it. Like I've seen him guard Anthony Edwards. I'm seeing him guarding like Jason. I'm seeing them literally throw this bloke out there. And so that also opens up a little bit of confidence in the young bloke to be able to be out there, get those steals. And that's really, I think that's really interesting for Max Christie.
Yeah. And I think earlier in the season they were running with, and last season we saw this Cam Reddish was playing basically for his defense only, because we know he's not a very good offensive player. Christie has he's assumed that role, which would tell us that they have confidence, as you said, in him to be able to defend the opponent's best player. So that again solidifies that role. And
much like we say, he can shoot. He has a really nice 3-point shooter. He's got a lot more confidence. He's been knocking down 2 over the last 2 weeks and 2.7 over the course of the last week for the Lakers. But again, these are in great minutes. The rebounds aren't there. The assists aren't there. But the field goal percentage as well, like he doesn't need a lot. Like he's not going to hurt. I know it's not these players that aren't going to hurt you, but Max Christie really isn't going to hurt you anywhere. Like he's been only taking the shots that he can get. He's been very good. He's not going to get you a lot of assists, I guess, but he is going to get you a couple of rebounds. He's going to chip in those extras. So especially on a Lakers back-to-back, if you're in a shallow league and you have a streaming spot, like let's say a 20-man league, 200 players, 10 mans, no spot, you're streaming, Christie is a must-grab player in that situation 9 times out of 10 for me.
Yeah. And I think obviously this last week there's been a couple of LeBron-less games. They've had LeBron out and AD got injured. And so there are things to take into consideration. If you just look at that box score and say, well, he's averaging 16.3 points and he's not going to get that. He's going to be closer to 11 or 12, as I said. But you're right. Like he doesn't take the shots that he can't make. And so even if he's having a poor shooting night, he's only going to go 2 from 6, not 4 from 15 or something like that. So he's low volume enough that it doesn't really hurt you even when he isn't shooting the ball too well. And if that's the case, he'll just focus in on defense. And so,
or I pass the ball and those assists will come up and he's a very willing passer. Like you see him like, no, I'm not good right now. And he'll kick the ball back out of his hands every single time. Like he's like, I don't want someone to be really mad at me, especially when that person's name is LeBron James. Also a slight bump here as well. And I haven't put it in the winners list only because it pretty much goes without saying, because we're looking at the key winners being D'Angelo Russell, Clowney, and Jalen Wilson down the track. People are asking a lot of questions. If you've got a question or a comment, by the way, just throw it in chat right now before we wrap this bad boy up. We're going to come under 20 minutes. We're just going to have it done for a good chat. Austin Reeves. I had a question today, like how much more do you love Austin Reeves? Well, I've already loved Austin Reeves. I already think he's a good fit. I don't love him any more or less because I don't think it impacts him. Guys like Shake Milton is off. Bronny James ain't getting a hell of a run. There's a real question. But Austin Reeves, I don't think he gets a significant bump out of this because I think what he does is what he's been doing. And I think this is the backup minutes have been, as you said, they've been D'Angelo Russell. He's been on the bench. He's probably going to become a starter in Brooklyn. I don't think Reeves gets an incredible bump here. Do you?
I don't think he gets a bump as such, but
maybe I do small.
Maybe very small. But what I do think this does is because he's been playing very well with the injuries and that sort of thing. So where are we over the last? I don't know.
Top 60 player in the last 2 weeks, 67th.
Yeah, so 21 points, 6.5 rebounds, 7.5 assists, a steal, 2.5 threes. So most people would look at that and go, it's not really sustainable. LeBron will come back or AD will get healthy, all those things. So I think what this does is probably make that closer to sustainable. And I think that because they don't have D'Angelo Russell now, and as badly as he was playing, he was their backup point guard. I think they may try to stagger and LeBron and Reeves a little bit because we saw what Reeves did in that last game. He had 16 assists or something.
Massive,
So they may simply
I saw him in a league completely flip the assist category. And I saw someone had 3 ads left. He completely flipped that assist category, and the person it was in a Yahoo league, and I've literally seen them add assist guys going into the last 2 days of competition, just to up them before, and it completely flipped it. That was massive.
It was, and that's sort of a side that we've seen glimpses of, but we haven't seen him in a major ball handling role. So I think they'll still start him and LeBron pretty clearly. But they may then, like after 5 minutes, bring LeBron off, let Reeves run it, bring LeBron on with 2 minutes to go, give him a 4 or 5 minute stint. So I think they may look to do that a little bit more, which just brings Reeves' floor up a bit. So not a bump as such, but I think it just confirms him as possibly a top 50 player rest of season.
Look, I like him a lot. I could probably see him bumping up a little bit more than what he's been over the course of this season. He's been the 98th ranked player across platforms, which is kind of like, I guess you can say, like down on where we expected him to be. But again, still a top 100 player. I see him as a top 75 guy. The big interesting fact for me is it's the first season of his career he's been a sub 800 free throw shooter. He's at 794 on the season. Previously, he's been 853, 864, 839. So he can take it, and he is taking enough just to slightly ding that category for you a little bit as well at 3.7 attempts per game. But the points are up. The threes are up. They're at 2.7 on the season. The rebounds, they are about the same as they were just by 0.1. The assists, though, are bang on, and he's playing 2 more minutes, almost 3 more minutes a game than he was last year. He's at 32.1, but he's at 34.4. I probably could see him going to 35 minutes a night really easily with this trade as well. The steals, they are also up there. He's averaging 1 a game, but I think Austin Reeves he's been there. He's been the guy that we've been hoping for this whole season to get this. And Kingy, thanks so much. Tell us about where we can get you apart from on the live show that people can jump onto FBI and on your site straight away and get.
It's usually just my pre-game and post-game shows at the moment on Twitter and Blue Sky, obviously, and some written stuff. I'll be writing an article tonight. So they're over on RotoWire. And Dan Vespris has I think he just started promoting. We'll be doing a trade deadline show together in 36 days or 37 days or something. Ooh. So we're closing in, but we're just in the grind at the moment. So it's all the regular stuff.
Guys, thank you so much for listening, and check it out. Make sure you follow all of the things at Adam King 91, of course, on X and on Blue Sky, and at FBI Basketball International, RotoWire, wherever Adam is. And you can check out all our stuff, obviously, at Insight F Sports. I am at NBA Wiz. People call me Matthew, especially my mother, and you can find me, as I said, for all things Insight. And check out our Instagram. Got a brand new one over there at Insight NBA Fantasy. That's going to be in the chat. We'll catch you soon. Everyone take care. Be well. And the weekly preview show up live very, very soon for Insight. Take care.